Hello, welcome along to Bangkok Chitchat, the YouTube channel that's all about Thailand. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do if you like what you see, and don't forget to like and share at the same time. If you want to be notified when we upload new videos, then just click the bell in the right-hand corner. Today we're chatting about expats. Some stay here forever, or a long time anyways, and some leave, often with their tail between their legs. So I'd like to welcome back to the studio, they've both been here before for the discussion, Mr. Colin Hastings, who is the owner of the Big Chili magazine and TV. Mustn't forget that one. And Robin Wesley Martin, who's a freelance journalist and coffee shop owner. Get your coffee shop one in. And what else?
Cafe, not coffee shop.
Oh, cafe.
Not coffee shop.
Welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
All right.
Why do you say that? Coffee shop. A coffee shop is related to somewhere in Thailand is with girls and things. Is that right?
Oh, well, I used to
Back
go
in
to a
the
coffee
day.
shop in Amsterdam, and my coffee shop is nothing like that. It's a cafe with English tea and nice cakes.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I prefer the Amsterdam. No.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we'll start off about basically why foreigners come here. And we'll call it the dream. Yeah, the dream element. So, why do people come to Thailand
Well,
to live? Yeah?
for myself, I can give my point of view of why I came to Thailand, then I can tell you about my other people as well, but get other people getting after me. My first thing is that I like to travel from a very early age. Even after I went, when I was 18 years old, to Israel, I ended up in the Yom Kippur War. That didn't stop me from traveling. I still wanted to travel.
You survived. Yeah.
I survived it, and I travelled all over Europe, North Africa, and the Near East to Turkey. I hadn't been to anywhere as far away as Thailand, and I wanted to, and so I came here. I left my job in the UK, which was in a university, in a medical school, and I came over here, liked it. I was planning on going to work in Japan as well, to teach English. Many people come here to teach English, which I did, and I stopped here. I fell in love with the place, and I'm still
So
here
what did you
now.
fall in love with?
I fell in love with the freedom. The freedom, and the city was a big city then in those days.
How long
as
ago
you
are we
know.
talking about?
I'm talking about 32 years ago, 33 years ago. The city was, as Colin knows,
So 88,
as you know,
89, yeah?
as you know, 88, yeah. The city was nothing like it is now. It was 4 stories high. The tallest building was Dusit Thani. That was only because of the spire on top of it. It was a relaxed place. The expat community was very, very close. Everyone knew everyone else, and we had a great time here.
All right,
We
so,
were living the
so
life.
basically you're saying you appreciated Thailand and you said because of the freedom, yeah?
Freedom to do anything you want.
Okay.
Did you have a job to come to?
I was one of the first guys that a school called ECC brought over here with an English teaching certificate. I did my teaching certificate before I came over here, and then ECC brought me over here.
So
had a
you
job
came
I
and went straight into a job?
straight into job.
Okay.
After 2 days, I was working.
Right.
Wow, what about yourself? Why do you think people, well, I mean, in general, I mean, do most people come here on a holiday first? And create that dream and then move across here?
I'm pretty sure that most people have an experience of being here for a while, whether it be a holiday or passing through, and they get this almost instant feeling that this place is rather special, and they want to come back. They feel as though they want to come back, maybe again for another holiday, and by the time they've been through 2 or 3 holidays, they think, oh, I'd like to spend more time here and look for a job and relocate here, at least for a while.
I think on
I
that
think-
third trip, they come back, they start looking at condos, seeing the prices
Yeah, I
and
don't
seeing
think- well,
the
yes,
practical stuff.
I think that most people, after that third time, and they start thinking about moving here, it's not in. They don't think about living here forever, but they think about having a break for a few years and staying here in Thailand. I think that's what.
Yeah,
most
I
people
mean,
do.
I felt, you know, one, when I came across here, it was more to do with, it was a bit of a Wild West.
It was.
with
Oh,
that-
yeah, it's a good way, yeah,
That sort of
yeah.
freedom.
It was.
It's very cosmopolitan. You, and basic conversation, you met many people from different countries. And a big thing was the weather. You know, in the UK, even when I was with 21, I had a bit of a back problem, and it just exacerbated it because it was very painful. And I came here, and it was all gone. So some people who retire here, it's also partly to do, you know, they don't have this claw because of the you know, pain in their joints. Like you said, your brother-in-law came across here, and immediately comes to Thailand, all his pains and aches and
Yeah,
pains disappear. yeah?
absolutely.
So maybe that's a reason. So next thing. why do people move here? They arrive here, maybe they get a job. Maybe
Well,
they
yeah,
decide
don't
to
forget that a lot of
retire,
people
yeah.
come here working for a big company and they may only have 3 years. You know, they did 3 years maybe in Hong Kong. They're used to moving around,
Is that
maybe
a
civil
majority, you
servants.
think?
No, definitely a minority. They're the ones with the nice fancy condos. They have to chauffeur them. So we're not really talking about. I think we're talking about independent people that come
No, I think
here.
we're talking about anybody. You know, why do people come here? Is it?
Well, these people don't have a choice. They get sent. That's
Well,
that's my point.
They have a choice. They always have a choice. You can say,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to be placed there.
Yeah.
But some people,
Then you
especially
don't get
diplomatic,
promoted.
they get moved around. They get asked. They choose when to go there. It's a promotion, an opportunity. I mean, Thailand. A lot of people for the head offices for this region are out of Singapore now. It used to be Hong Kong. A lot of people have moved from Hong Kong, especially now, yeah, and moving to Singapore. But Thailand's also promoted itself as being the perfect location for a head office because it's a hub. Right? And Singapore is very, very, very expensive. Yeah? So maybe what's going to happen in the future is people from Singapore will be moved up to Thailand, we hope, yeah? And they'll have their head office in Singapore, but they'll have, because especially with COVID, people working away from home and remotely, yeah, this may encourage people, companies to come to Thailand. Yeah? All right, so this person's arrived, yeah, and we talk about things like the itch time, yeah. So there's a common sort of thought process where we say you get 3 month, 6 month, 3 year, 7 year.
It's a lot of itches.
Yeah. Different phases, and I thought it was all rubbish, yeah, but it is actually true.
I have to say, in my experience, that's true as well. It comes a point about 4 years where if people have stayed here just past the 4 year point, there's a good chance that they're going to stay on for a lot longer. It's about 4 years, because up to about 4 years you're still thinking, well, I can go back and settle easily back home. If it goes beyond 4 years and you're thinking, I think I'd rather stay on here. But there's that tipping point about 4 years. That's what I've found in most cases.
No,
They
I
just
agree.
think about 4 years. And
Or companies turn around and say you get a period of 3 years and they move you on to another.
Well, there's
location.
that case as well.
Yeah.
But actually, I was just thinking as well that you know, when you're moved, when your contract ends, I've seen lots of people staying on longer. You know, they stayed on, said, all right, I leave the company, I'm staying on, I'm going to do my own thing. They set up their own companies, be it a lawyer or, you know, a marketing company or whatever. Even ambassadors, I've known of ambassadors who've spent their time here and they decided that they don't want to go on for another posting and they retire. They settle
Why
down
here?
I think that 4 year thing is almost like the novelty is beginning to wear off. So you're either falling in love with the real Thailand, not that superficial thing that you may have lived through for the first 2 or 3 years. And then that 4 years is a point where you go, yeah, okay, this is really for me.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking long term.
Yeah, you do. I'm sure that's the case.
But why
I'd
is
like
it
to add
that
something
they
about
wanna
that
stay
comment
here?
you've just made there. When you come to another country, especially one as different as Thailand is, the language is also very different, obviously. And when we came, particularly when we came to live here, there were really not very many people who could speak English. So if you wanted to get on, you had to learn how to speak the language. Now, I find that when you're learning a language, that there is a certain period of time, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, when you get better and better and better at the language. Now, some people who have lived here a long time, as long as we have, they can't speak a word of Thai, but the majority of people, they can. And I think that when people can speak, when we can speak part of the language and get on with Thai people, then that's probably when they make another decision to say, yes, I quite like it here now. People like me better as well because I can speak their language.
I get that.
Okay.
I wish I had learned the language, I have to say. I can order food, I can do the basics in Thai. And I understand a lot more Thai than I speak, which is nice, as long as I can reply in English. And sometimes you get it totally wrong, right? You hear a conversation with the wife and the kid or something, and you pick up on just certain words. You can get sometimes the total wrong end of it, and you go, no, I don't think that, well, we weren't even talking about that, you know. But
Can you read and write Thai?
No, I don't. The reason I don't write Thai is because many people ask me this question. Say, you can speak Thai quite well, Robin. Why can't you read and write? And my answer is always is that communication is about talking to people and communicating. You do not sit down in a pub or at a table like this and write each other questions. So the most important thing for me about learning a new language is to be able to speak to each other and communicate with each other rather than read and write.
Okay.
Some people will say it's better to read and write, but I disagree. I think it's much better to be able to communicate with them. Some people are illiterate in Thailand, and so they can't read and write anyway, but they can speak Thai very well.
Right. And what about yourself?
Well, when I say a well-practiced a sentence or phrase in Thai, it's wonderful because the Thai person I'm talking to comes back and says, "Oh, you speak Thai so well." But actually, I don't. But these well-practiced phrases I'm good at. And
Do you fall into the habit like you're in a taxi or something? The taxi driver goes, "How long have you been in Thailand?" I go,
There's
3
always-
months. Because otherwise you get, "Oh, you speak Thai there." You know, if you say 40 years, they go, "Oh, you speak Thai very..."
Yeah, exactly.
Pardon, what did you say?
So here's the thing: the first 3 months, someone arrives here, because some people will be watching and think, "Well, I'm thinking of moving to Thailand, and what can I expect?" So this person arrives. They've been on holiday. They arrive here. I'm moving here. Maybe with a job. Maybe they find a job before they come, or when they come, or they're going to start a business, or they're just going to retire. What is the normal practice for the first 3 months of people arriving here?
What do they do, you mean?
Stereotypical situation.
They go
Male.
party.
Let's talk about male.
They party.
Right.
Well, they work first. If they're here, you mean they've come here on a job? Because if they're here with no job, they just
Well,
party.
they're still an individual whether they get a job or not. But
Well, I think the job is
I think one of the
important.
reasons people love Thailand is because, or staying in Bangkok at least, because that's what you'll probably start off at. It's got a buzz. It's a fantastic place, and it still has a great buzz.
Yeah.
And you come here and you get involved in the buzz of Bangkok, and it's hard to actually not get involved in the nightlife, the entertainment scene, the social scene.
It's all part of one circle, isn't it? Yeah.
Indeed.
So you're saying it's probably also totally different from where they've come from. If you've come from, say, Hong Kong to here, you may think it's not so different from coming from Wigan in England
I
to
think-
here, right?
I think the expats in Hong Kong and Singapore know already what Thailand's going to be like. They may have been
Yeah.
there already, but
Yeah.
it has a reputation.
Yeah. Oh,
They all know
absolutely.
what
So you're
to
saying
expect here.
the first 3 months, you expect them to whore it, drink too much, yeah.
Yeah, but not, obviously not married
party.
couples. Not married couples.
No.
But if you're a single guy, yeah, you go out.
Ah,
and
but
have a look.
also when I was working, I won't say which company, I was working for a company, and we had people from the UK who, if their bosses of the public knew who were doing what they were doing, yeah, they'd probably been fired immediately. Your job is to take them out and make sure they don't get into trouble. In the olden days, you had a place called Nana Plaza, yeah, and they all wanted to go there. And you basically, what we used to do is if they were nice people, yeah, we would take them to the bars and make sure they're all okay and they don't do anything silly or whatever it is. And if they were naughty people, we would take them up to 10cc top left, which was a
Oh, the
Katai
10
bar, and just leave them there.
I don't know that
Don't
one.
forget, they're meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
they go mad. Basically, you expect them to go mad, and I think as
Yeah,
an
I think
employer, you got to make sure that take it easy, mate. Yeah.
I think you're mixing up a little bit because you get married couples coming here, of course, get posted here. And the last thing that you should be doing is taking the guy out to some of these places to sort of immediately corrupt him.
Yeah.
But they want to. They want to go.
No,
If they
no,
want
it's
to, I think
yeah.
you should not do
No,
that.
and
I
this
don't
is
think
where
you
it
should do
goes
that.
wrong. That's for the later on in the discussion when they go
but I
between the
think-
two. Yeah, no, I mean,
I know
I agree.
personally
I
some
agree.
businessmen who came here and they loved it so much that when their son got to be 16, they brought their son over to Thailand to lose his virginity.
Well, there are. I'll just write that
And
down.
you don't have a son. I don't have a son. You've got daughters.
I got daughters.
And
I have
you've
a
got daughters,
son,
right,
yeah,
okay.
but he was born here, so he probably
Right.
lost it a lot earlier.
So, what about people coming here? When they arrive here over this period? What sort of trials and tribulations do they sort of go through to settle in? Yeah.
Oh, well, it depends. If it's a single guy against a married family, so their introduction to Thailand should be and probably is a little bit different. A family has to look at their situation, places to go for the children, the schools, after schools, the clubs they can join, and looking at weekends away. But single people have got a different agenda.
Yes.
And I think you have to look at
And from
both
my
sides.
experience, some of those single people have fallen off the rails, and they are the ones that we said in the beginning of the program,
Totally agree.
when with their tails between their legs,
But not
because they
everybody.
could. No. I said
everybody.
some.
Yeah.
I know some, and other ones. Then, well, we'll go on through the itchy stages.
Which, if you like, which one of us came here as a single guy?
Yeah, sure.
We all did.
Yeah,
Did
and
we
we
fall
got
off the
through.
rails?
No, nearly. I was a bit wobbly in
Couple of
places.
You recovered. Yes.
Yeah,
seriously.
no, absolute. And this is really what I wanted to discuss as well here is why would people like us not fall off the rails, and why do some people fall off the
Yeah, let's
rails?
face it, it's only a few actually fall off the rails and get it all wrong and have to leave or they screw up their lives. I think most of us are sensible enough to handle the differences that we find here, these
Yeah.
wonderful differences that
Yeah.
we find here.
Yeah.
But what about people with culture shock? It is a quite bit of a...
Food and culture, oh, well, of course, it's a major shock. And I think sometimes they don't actually like that shock, and that's what may be saying, this isn't for me.
Okay, so
This
my
isn't for me.
question,
Other people
what
love it.
is the culture shock?
Language,
Food.
food, but you soon get over that. You learn how to like and order Thai food.
Religion?
Did I say language? Religion. Now that's very subtle. That's very subtle. And you make mistakes, but Thais are very tolerant and forgiving. They will accept that you are a foreigner, don't understand, the mistakes. They'll understand you'll make mistakes. They're very forgiving. And probably the way that business operates in conjunction with politics, because it's all intertwined. And you say, well, why does that happen? Why does that happen? And there's an element of corruption that you have to understand as well. Thais don't see it as corruption as we do, but we see it as outright corruption.
Or we just call it oiling the cogs.
Something like
It's
that.
quite
yeah.
transparent, isn't it, in
Well, we
Thailand?
know
the
what's going
corruption,
on.
yeah.
Yes,
Whereas
true.
in England, it probably still, or wherever, probably goes on, and people don't know.
Yeah.
What about safety? Do you think Thailand is
One of the-
safe?
I've always thought very
Very. Well, it depends what you mean. If you're talking about driving a motorbike or walking down the street.
True.
If you're walking down the street, one of the safest places on the earth.
Yeah. You can walk around at night in Bangkok.
Yes.
Anywhere.
And you don't feel threatened. I wouldn't like to do that in
But it's
New
funny you
York
say
or
that
London.
because if you speak to especially a Thai female, they say, "Oh, no way, really." Do you think that we're actually put in a bit of a cocoon because we don't get exposed to the Daily Record, or well, that's a Scottish rag, but the Sun or something, all the
There's
the
other
bad
things that go on in Thailand, some really awful
Yeah.
things that happen. But in the general scheme of things, I think that this is a safe place.
I would agree.
And but the Thais have this, again, it's a cultural thing. I think that there is this fear. They're taught to fear a lot of things. They worry about this and worry about that. But actually, there's no need to worry often.
Yeah.
Okay. What about
Andrew,
the dealing
you
with
said
authority
about
figures?
The Thai people, Andrew. The Thai people and the Farang people, like us, we have a different thing. Now, the Thai people, depending on what business they're in, they might not find it as safe as we do. I totally agree with Colin that this is one of the most safest cities for a foreign person in the world. They won't bother us, but they might bother another Thai person, especially if they're involved in business together.
All right. So
That's a different thing as well.
Yeah.
In business terms, there's the fear of being squeezed, if you like, for some money or getting things done and not accepting the requests. There's that. The other week we went down to Klong Toi with Greg Lang and his wonderful project to help feed and clothe the people down in Klong Toi. And it's a slum area, it's got a terrible reputation, but not once did we, I was with one of my daughters, we went down there and did not feel threatened in the slightest.
Yeah.
The people were there pleasant, they accepted us, we walked around, and this is supposed to be a bad area of Bangkok.
yeah.
Didn't feel a thing in terms of fear or threat. Or
I was going to mention that, saying when I said it's one of the safest cities, I'd even walk down Klong Toi at 2 o'clock in the morning
Yeah,
and
you
not
won't-
feel
I
threatened.
don't think you'd feel
Okay.
anything.
Here's another thing with regards to authority. With us as all being Brits, yeah. If anything, we sort of say we have our rights, right?
Yeah.
We will do what we should do. You have authority. It's just a job. You have a responsibility. Here, you have to respect the authority.
Yes, it's true, and Thais generally do, and I think they live in a certain cocoon of fear as well
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah,
They
I know
know that the head man.
I
is
know
the
what's
head
coming
man.
next.
So you should. So basically, even as a foreigner here, you should pay the courtesy, which should be normal the way you're brought up, giving courtesy, but understand that they do have authority and they will use their authority and their influence. Yeah.
You know, the people that I think the Thai people generally are they fear the police because of the power the police can have over them, but they respect them, and the police generally don't take too much advantage of them. But you know, the police kind of they're reasonable.
Yeah.
They're reasonable, but the Thai people hold them in a certain way.
And on an expat side, I think most expats do, and if they don't, they should. They must remember that they are a guest in the country. And I think, you know, you have to give, even if you think something is wrong, I don't mean you can't voice it, but you don't have any power to voice anyway. So what's the point of doing it and upsetting a load of people that you don't even know you probably upset?
But again, this is a cultural thing. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
We just have to go along. We go with the flow.
Yeah.
If you go with the flow, you'll be okay.
And then go to the pub and moan about it. But, you know, you need an outlet, but that's where it starts.
There's another thing which I find quite difficult when I arrive, because being Scottish, maybe a wrong thing to say, stereotypical, but we believe everyone's the same. Yeah, you know, we are a bit of a socialist sort of leaning within Scotland, and we, you know, everyone should be the same. But in Thailand, because of this authority, even in your office, you'll find that the Thai will bring their head below your head sometimes, especially if you're older. So they call it P Nong, yeah, the older person with the younger person, and it can be a little bit embarrassing at the beginning when your staff come in and they why, or they bring their head down, or sometimes they won't say what they actually feel, yeah, because they want to say what you want to hear. So that can be very frustrating when you're here. Are there any, whether it's going to a restaurant or they'll wait, you say, can you give a suggestion for a wine or this? It's just like, my God, you've asked me how was the world made, sort of thing. So
well, in business, I can
people
see
have
it
to
as well.
have to get used to. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's very important let's get to expats. That expats coming here have to do a bit of homework on what is the place. You know, don't use your feet to point. And I know people that have done it in front of Thais, and I went, oh no, you know, why did I know it? Well, I knew it. Luckily, after I came here, someone told me all the do's and don'ts. I didn't research it either, but luckily I didn't make any faux pas. But, you know, the bowing of the head, you see older expats whying little girls. I cringe when I see that,
Yes,
but at least they're whying. At least they're being, you know, the other Thais around going, oh, well, he obviously doesn't really understand, but he's trying. Whereas not whying at all to an older is not nice. So I think it's a matter of research. And you say, why do, you know, people that come here, they need to know where they're going and understand the culture of the country.
There's some organisations that provide courses in how to settle you into Thailand, because at the end of the day, you come over here, you go rent a place or you make an investment of some kind, and you're not prepared, and that can come to the point where we're talking about the leaving. Is there any particular things that you feel that why people end up leaving?
Oh, I know loads of people that have left just for, I've had enough and I've got something to go back to the UK to do.
Right.
And I prefer that. So done my bit and that's it. Lovely. Miss it, come back on holiday, but I'm going back to live. Then you get the other people that sort of leave in disgrace, where it all went really, you know, tits up for them, literally. And mainly the single people. And, you know, they got into, I know a story very briefly of someone that came from another country to here to work for a relative here. He was divorced, he had a pocket full of money, and he had a good position in his family's business here. He wasn't Thai, a family business. And for the first year, everything went quite well, but then he got into a wrong set no, he didn't get in the wrong set of socialising, because I knew him, but he just took it, that's where it all went wrong, really, for him, wasn't it? No, but he did it every night. He got married here in his first year, bought a car, he had a great salary, everything was going really hunky-dory for him, but he went out every night, started becoming not reliable, started missing meetings, going missing for a couple of days, and Drugs were involved as well. And at the end of the day, the relatives sent him back to the country that he came from, and within 6 months, that guy was back to normal.
Right.
back. And that's so see what I'm doing here? It's like, was Thailand that lock that
Again,
locked inside
there's
something,
a negative
you know?
story when there is, in fact,
Absolutely.
there's many
Many.
positive,
Yeah.
good stories
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Don't forget that.
No,
But
yeah.
there's another reason why people leave is if you have children and your schooling becomes expensive here,
Correct, yeah.
and you've got to face the future of high expense for your school fees. But also, you end up, in my case, this is true as well. I wanted my kids to have some aspect of my background, my home, my culture, my family back in the UK.
Yeah.
So that becomes an important thing, that you want your children to feel something of what you are.
It's your legacy in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, I find even with my daughter Kerry, that there was a point when she was maybe 7, 8, 9. She got a little bit confused on whether she was Thai, and she used to say, "Oh, I'm Scottish," and I said, "No, you're not Thai. Be proud of it." Yeah. So yeah, I understand. They have to have a foundation, and you
Yeah.
chose that they should have something back in the.
Something you just.
But you have to encourage them. They are Thai, yeah, and be
They
proud
are
of
Thai.
it, yeah.
But on
You-
the other hand, most expats don't know how long they're going to be able to stay here. So it would be probably unwise just to continue on saying, "Oh, you're Thai, you're Thai." You know, if you've got mixed kids, you're Thai, and then suddenly you're forced to leave. They go back to Scotland, and if you've got kids who feel 100% Thai, you've brought them up that way, they might feel left out when they go back or wrong. It would take a lot of readjustment for them to
Yeah.
settle back in their home country in Scotland. in
That's a
your
good
case.
point. Well,
No, I mean, Kerry, she went to Netherlands and to study, and she loves Thailand, but she's got no desire to come back.
There you go. Everyone's different.
Yeah, that's right.
And my son, had all his schooling here, yeah, and university here as well. He's got a British passport. And he said, "Yeah, on holiday." That's it. He would never work in England, never live in England. Loves Thailand.
Okay, so there's another thing. We're here. We want to stay here. Circumstances may change. You might lose a job, or you may have your job, or you've retired. What do you think? All the visa, 90-day report, TM30, work permit, not being able to buy a property, so you don't have a home, which you can buy an apartment. Yeah. Do you think all these sort of things influence people to leave? There's always ways around it.
Can I add to the list? Finding a job. It's not like you can pick up the newspaper, and
especially
classifieds
an expat.
and go,
Especially an expat.
Well, that's what I mean. Expat. For Thais, I can drive a taxi. I
You
can do
started
this.
your own
that.
business. I started my own business. Yeah?
Exactly.
So, I mean, for me, I decided instead of being reliant and looking for a company and they can move me along and having an asshole boss or something like that,
Yeah.
I just thought, well, I'll just be the boss.
You'll be the arsehole boss.
Yeah. So I maybe I'm not earning as much money as I did, but I'm happy and I have a control of my own destiny.
Exactly. Yeah.
But my point is that with this stuff to do with work permits and all these rules, do you think that puts people off and they go?
I'm sure a lot of people
I'd say
are.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly people put off by that. But if you think it's worth it, you'll go through.
Yeah.
You'll go through.
I mean, you take the scenario, someone comes here for 4 years working for Shell or whatever company, their kids are taken care of schooling, and then suddenly they say, "No, I want to live here. I've decided." And Shell say, "Well, so bye-bye Shell, I'm going to do something else. I know I'm a member of the chamber, I'll get a job here, I'll do that." And then suddenly they get that list that you're talking about. It
Well,
must be like, whoa.
But as you said before, and it's absolutely correct, go with the flow.
Yeah.
If you start picking on every single thing and hassle, 90-day report, go on 2 weeks before it's due, do it online, press the button, finished.
Or
That's all you need to do.
employ one of these agents who will take care of everything. You have to pay, of course,
Yeah.
but there are agents who will take care of everything and smooth the path for you.
Okay, so these are some of the reasons that some people will leave. Is there anything else?
Oh, it could be, well, somebody's going to say, well, that's only a few. According to Colin, not everyone stays here. But what about ones where maybe matters of the heart? Maybe their marriages go wrong, or because of the culture difference.
That's some of the reasons that they stay, because the wife turns around and says, "I don't want to stay here anymore. My mum and dad are old. I want to take care of them." Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking,
they bust
stories
up
again, that people marry, expats will marry a Thai, and it doesn't always work out. In many, many cases it does, like for me and for you, but sometimes it doesn't. So that may be another reason why they get fed up with Thailand, because they've just, you know, it hasn't worked out on the
Broken heart, you
merit.
mean? A broken heart.
Broken hearts, bless them.
Well, I think there's
You
that,
are.
but it's
You
also,
don't. You'll say there's
I
only a
think it's
few.
the
Andy.
vulnerabilities. I mean, I think a big thing for a lot of people is the vulnerabilities. You could get kicked out any time if you don't get your permanent residence or citizenship. That's one vulnerability. You haven't got that security. You've got that risk. Part of the reason we came here, it was because it was the Wild West originally, so we actually go with the flow.
Because
of
we were
that
younger
risk.
then, weren't we?
And the fact is that I think another thing is that when you're younger, you'll stay here because you know you can always go home. Once your parents have passed, you can't go home. You haven't got a home to go to. Yeah.
That's a good point.
So some people feel that I better get back sooner rather than later. Yeah? And then there's money. Yeah? Now people think, oh, you get lots of money as an expat. No, you don't. You if you get employed locally, you get employed on a local basis. Yeah, you don't have packages. The packages, expat packages, finished a long time. So all these pressures, I think, you know, people are having second thoughts, especially now. I think we've now halved. Okay, COVID's part of the reason. Half the
we went
half
25
the UK
minutes without
people that live
mentioning
here.
that.
There's 31,000 British people here at the moment. Yeah, there was over 70,000 a year ago.
Where'd you get those figures from?
It was actually through Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Donald
sounds-
Trump.
No, it was a report. It was a news report.
Oh, was a link on Twitter.
It was I can't remember his name. I can show you
Okay.
later.
Oh,
But
they've got
actually,
slightly different-
Richard Barrow, he went there. He had something out, and he said there was 31,000 when he went to visit the embassy, and he said there was more than double before. Yeah.
Well, the embassy don't.
I think
the
I
embassy
read
doesn't
that.
know.
Yeah.
No, they will have records.
No, the
Well,
embassy
not
doesn't
anymore.
know. The embasy's never been able to.
Well,
tell you.
how many people do you think
Well,
as Brits?
oh, Brits, I'd say 100,000.
In
I'd say
Thailand,
100,000.
in Thailand as a whole.
100,000 in Thailand. When you look at the numbers in Bangkok and Pattaya, Hua Hin, upcountry, thousands. I would say far more, certainly far more than 30. Maybe 100,000 is slightly excessive.
Maybe that 30,000 were on the most wanted list. That's the only one the embassy would have.
Well, that would be an interesting statistic
Yeah.
to know. What proportion of people staying as opposed to proportion of people leaving? That'd be an interesting statistic.
I think people who've been here as long as we have will probably be more likely to stay. People who've been here maybe less than 5, 10 years, something like that, they're more likely to go home. And they're also more likely, because they're younger than us now, to have family that if they have a family problem, like a family sickness or something, they would have to go back. A friend of mine been over here for 20 years. Last year he had to go back home. His father is old now and he's having medical problems. His mother already passed away. He had to go back. He's married to a Thai girl over here. He can't get over it now. For 1 year, he hasn't been able to get over. And he won't be able
Yes,
to get
right.
over
Same with
now.
a friend of mine because of COVID.
But,
yeah.
he wants to come back.
He wants to come back, but he's going to wait until his father passes
Yeah.
because he's got to retire.
I'd like to know how many expats are living here. You've got me thinking now.
Well, you're talking about.
We won't quote you,
Talking
but-
about Americans, Australians, and
I'm talking
Non-
about the UK.
Europeans.
I'm only
Yeah,
talking
I'd
the
say
UK.
there's far more than 30,000. I'd say it's near 100,000.
from the
From
UK.
the UK.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd say that. And
So there's a lot of people. You're saying the
overall, I'd
embassy
say
doesn't know?
500,000, if you like, 500,000 expats, but possibly come down a bit because of COVID. One thing or another, 500,000.
Expats from most countries, you mean?
I'm talking
non-Thais.
about, non-Thais, but excluding
Asia.
I'm excluding Hong Kong,
Myanmar.
China, those
Yeah,
countries,
yeah, yeah.
Asian countries,
Yeah.
Right.
and Taiwan and Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Japan you could include about half a
So if
million.
anybody has any statistics on that, please add them to the comments
Yeah, I'd
so we
be
can.
interested.
Well,
to see
I think we're all going to go after this and go back to
Because-
our laptops and
because
Google
there's-
everything and
right.
see what we
Because
come up
what
with.
actually happens is that normally the figures come out how many work permits are issued. There's always the one they use as a gauge, and you can't say that that's
I think it
indicates how
comes down
many.
to visas. Visas issued. You get a non-immigrant.
But there's all sorts of visas. I don't think they collate them all in one
No.
go. I don't think that. Then the other source is the embassies. The embassies can tell you how many people they've got registered.
90-day report.
90-day report.
A lot of people don't
could
do
be.
it.
A lot of people don't do it. But do you really seriously believe that all these offices dotted around the country link up and
No, they don't.
liaise? I don't think that's
No,
the case.
I think
either.
it. Yeah.
It's an unknown figure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got the reasons to maybe some people will leave. I think a big one for people is retirement. When you get to an age where you're not going to have a job If you've paid your stamp back in the UK, you're going to get your pension, your state pension back in the UK, and the Social Security will help you in the UK.
Yeah, true.
Here, there's nothing.
But you can get your
Zero.
pension
You're on your
sent
own.
here.
Yes, you can. And what ends up happening is that it's basically locked in at the amount that when you hit retirement. So if you're getting £100 when you're 65, when you're 70, you'll still be getting £100.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not indexed.
No. The other thing, can I just say that I've known older expat couples who get to a stage in their life, 70-ish, when their health insurance will expire.
That's a biggie.
And they get worried
Yes.
about what's going to happen to them because they won't be able to get health insurance in Thailand after 70.
Yes.
And they think, well, what are we going to do? If one gets really ill, passes away, then I'm going to be left alone. If one of us gets seriously sick, but we have to pay over a long period for treatment, we won't be covered. So they think, I think we better go back to Australia. And a good friend of mine, in his case, otherwise they go back, say,
That's
to the
excellent
UK.
point. Excellent point.
Yeah. But
They
the
get worried.
thing is, that if you haven't paid your stamp, yes, the social will take care of you because they have to.
Back in the UK,
back
for
in the
example.
UK, yeah. But if you haven't paid your stamp officially, you're not due National Health Service. But the other thing is people say, well, they're never not going to take care of
They'll
you.
always look
Yeah,
after
they will.
you.
I mean, they will look after you.
I know
Sick.
that from a couple of people that have actually gone through that. They were
Yeah,
very
they've
sick
gone
when
back
they
and
got back to England
they've
with
looked
no
after.
stamps, no nothing, and they were looked after.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea if you feel that the pension is going to be retained back in the UK, which I think it has to. Is pay your up to 7 to 10 years and you get something. Yeah.
You get something.
But if you don't, you get nothing. Yeah?
Well, I'd like to finish up this, which has been quite heated in moments, and
Energetic.
Just a conclusion from all of us. I'll start it off. I would just say that if you're thinking of coming here, study the country before you do. Even if you're on holiday, it's always good to know where you're going. And then when you're on holiday, if that's what you decide you want to live here because of your holiday, just remember, when you're on holiday, it's not the same as when you live here. Holiday is holiday. Living here is totally different. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
I don't think there's anywhere better in the world to live, to be
Yeah,
honest
I
with
forgot
you.
that,
It's a
yeah.
fabulous place to live. It's
Yeah.
got its problems, of course,
Yeah.
but I'd rather be here than, honestly, back in the UK. As much as I miss the UK, I'd rather be here
Here.
than back in the UK.
Here.
I go back every year, even though my mother and father have both passed away. I see my friends. I really enjoy seeing my friends, but I look very much forward to coming back. This is home.
Lovely. to
I
hear.
just think it is a great, fantastic place to be. As you said, the best phrase of the whole discussion is go with the flow. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
and I think when you're here, keep to the standards that you would have kept back when you were back in the UK, because sometimes people go a little bit wild because they think they can get away.
They
with
lose
it.
their inhibitions
and,
and their
you can
morality.
get caught and be in big trouble here. So just keep to the standards that you would when you were back in the UK, and enjoy. It is a great place, and plan for your future, because a lot of people don't plan for their older age, yeah? And that's when they become unstuck, because your family in the UK pass on and you're left behind.
I was just about to say on that lovely up note, but then
No, I think it's a fascinating discussion, and I think the fact we've got 4 people who have lived here for a long time, I think it's something which is you're better than someone. I arrived here 5 years, 10 years. There's a lot of experience here, and hopefully people find some benefit from this. And yeah.
Okay. So on that note, I'd like to thank Colin for taking up some of his very precious time, and Robin, to chat about that. And I hope we can see you back here in the future on some different topics. You're more than welcome to try. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you guys for watching. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed and you like what you're hearing and seeing, then please hit that subscribe button, liking and sharing, and the notifications as well.
Comments, please.
Yeah, comments. I've got hopefully some comments coming on this one about how many people live in, how many expats live in Thailand. Yeah, we
Interesting to
did.
know.
Yeah. Okay. So see you next time on
See you later.
Bangkok Chitchat. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.